Namaste and welcome back to the DSA classes. Let us solve another really exciting problem which is asked in multiple product-based companies, and the name of the problem is called as the subset sum problem. Now what is this subset sum problem? The problem states something like this. Given a set of non-negative integers and a value called as sum, determine the number of subsets of the given set with sum equal to the given sum. Now what does this question mean? Maybe you understood, maybe you didn't. Let me help you visualize it. So they will give you an array of non-negative integers. Let's call it as AR. They will give you a value called as sum. It could be any value. I'm assuming it is 25. Now you must find sets of such values within the array which when added together will result in the sum. Now the moment I observe this, I realize that I can pick 10, I can pick 15, and if I add them together I'll get 25. So 10 is one element, 15 is another element. If I add them, I've got 25. So there is a set of values which results in 25. Now there is another set of values which is 20 plus 5 also results in 25. So there are two sets of values which when together added results in the value called as sum. Would you agree with me? Now this is the first combination, this is the second combination. Hence how many combinations? 2. That 2 must be your output. That 2 must be your output. What are the combinations? They are not asking. How many combinations are there? How many subsets are there within the given array which when added together results in this? And it is technically not a subset. You can call it a set because they are not asking it to be linear. They are not asking it the numbers to be contiguous. They need not be one next to the other. 10 and 15 are not one next to the other. 20 and 5 are not one next to the other. So we can't call it as subsets, but definitely set of numbers we have. Any confusion till here, guys? Great, awesome. Now how do we solve this? Whenever you have to find all permutations, print all, find all, if these kinds of questions come, right, a very good approach is to use recursion. Another very good way to do it, in fact more effectively than recursion, could be using something called as dynamic programming or DP, which in depth we will be learning in the upcoming classes. But for now, recursively, how can one solve this? Let me propose my solution to you guys. Please try and understand. Alright, so now let us assume this is how I want to go ahead with this. Okay, see here initially this is the array that is given to me. Okay, I will pass this array to the function. What is the function name we will see, and I will pass this value sum also to this function. Okay, so sum initially they have given it as 25. Now how do you find all the combinations or all the subsets which results in the value sum? Is very simple. Either you have to pick an element or you should not pick an element. Now what I will do is, I will go element by element, which means starting till end of the array, element by element I will go and I will see whether I can pick them or not. So what I will do is, starting with the first element, I have two options. Either I can pick or I cannot pick. Because I am saying I may pick 10, I am marking it in green. I may not pick 10 or I will not pick 10, so I am marking it in red. Any confusion till here? Now guys, to keep track of which element we are either deciding to pick or not pick, I need an index variable, right? So I will maintain a variable called as I. In the first time, I is going to be 0 because we are starting from the 0th element, the first element. There also I is 0. Now sum is there here also, sum is there also. Let's start from this side because recursively we will start with this call. Okay. Now here what I am going to do is, I need to now check whether 10 can be picked or not. So let us assume I pick 10. Let us assume I pick 10. Now what I will do is, I have picked 10, isn't it? So 10 is already there. Now I must add something to 10 which will give me 25. So what I will do is, I will subtract 10 from 25. See, 25 minus 10. That will be my new sum. My new sum will become 15. So what I am trying to say is, here pick 10. So my new sum is 15. Now some other element I should pick which can contribute 15 to the sum. Hope you're able to think. It could be one element, it could be two elements. I'm not judging that. But what leftover sum that I need is 15. So I've made it as 15. Programmatically speaking, what am I doing? Sum equal to old value of sum minus the element at the ith position. Would you agree with me? Great. Now again, I have picked 10 here. Now next element is 20. Again I have two options. Either I pick 20 or I don't pick 20. Green, red. But this time, since we're dealing with the second element, I value is going to be incremented. It's going to become 1. Sum and sum. Empty I'm leaving right now. Now let us assume you picked 20, friends. If you have picked 20, then according to our logic, you must subtract it from the value of sum. Okay. As of now, what was the value of sum? 15. Now if I subtract array of I means 20, 15 minus 20 I will get minus 5. So do you see, actually when you get a negative value, what does that mean? What that means is 10 and 20 added together is not resulting in the given value of sum, which was 25. That is why you got a negative value. I hope it is clear. It is extra 5 it is telling. That is what it is trying to say. So the moment you hit a negative value, you know that this is not one of the combinations. In fact, it is one of the base conditions. One of the base conditions is what? If the sum becomes negative. If the sum is negative, it means I cannot pick this combination. Now the moment you hit a base condition, recursively speaking, you must come out of recursion. You must return. So what will I return? What I will return is a value which can indicate that this is a combination which will not work. So what is that value you have decided, sir? I have decided it to be 0. 0 means not possible. So see, I will return 0. Any confusion till here? Great, you return 0. Now you came back here. This side is over. You hit the base. You came back here. Now this side is there where you're not picking 20. If you don't pick 20, then I value is 1. Sum will be 15 only. Sum will be 15 only. I will not change sum. Only if I pick, I should subtract it. So sum will be 15 only. I'm not picking. Great. 10 you picked. 20 you didn't pick. Now next element. 15. Again, you now have two options. Either you pick 15, so I'm showing it in green, or you may not pick 15, so I'm showing it in red, and you can see this 20 is in red and red, meaning that from the previous call I have not picked it. That is what it means. Any confusion? Now let's start with picking. You have picked 15. If you have picked 15, what does that mean? What that means is that you have to now subtract it from the sum. If I subtract it from the sum, 15 was the previous value of a sum. 15 minus 15 will give me 0. 15 minus 15 will give me 0. The moment sum becomes 0, what should you understand? That hey, you have found the first subset of values which when added together gave you the initial value of sum, which is 25. That is why it became 0. How are you able to think? So this is a valid combination. A valid combination is also a base condition. How do you identify a valid combination? If sum becomes 0. If sum becomes 0. Any confusion till this point of time? So see, we have hit one more base condition. That is, if sum becomes 0, valid. Now, valid means base condition means you have to come out of recursion. So you have to return. Now, what will I return to tell that, hey, it is valid? To say it is valid, what I will return is 1. If it is valid, I will return 1. If it is invalid, I will return 0. I have returned 1. Great. You came back. This side is over. Now here, where you did not pick 15. If you did not pick 15, sum remains 15 only. Now 15 is over. Next element 5. Next element 5. Again, you have two options. Either you pick 5 or you don't pick 5. Let us come to the case where you are picking 5 and see I value now has become 3. I value has become 3 because I am talking about the third index value or the last value. If I pick 5, then the sum is going to become 15 minus 5, which will become 10. How do you think? It is not negative, it is not 0 also. So you must continue. But the problem is to continue, unfortunately, I have already reached the end of the array. There is no more element for me to continue, which means if I continue recursion, forget about the array, I value is now going to be 4. There is no element only, but I am showing 2 branches because pick, don't pick. What to pick, what to not pick. There is no element, I becomes 4, or I is gone outside the boundary. If I has gone outside the boundary, would you agree you have reached one more base condition? In a way, would you agree that this combination is also not possible? That is why you started with 10, then you tried, with 5 you tried, but it's not possible. No more element is there, you've gone out, so this combination is not possible. Which means 2 base conditions you've already identified. Sum becomes negative, invalid, sum becomes 0, valid, and I value goes outside the boundary of the array, then also invalid. So see, if I value becomes equal to the length of the array. What is the length of the array? 4. 4 elements are there. I is equal to the length. The moment this happened, one more base condition, invalid. Invalid means what should you return? 0. Even this side also what should you return? 0. Now see, both sides have returned. Now what I want you to understand here is that what you must do is add both of them together. You must add both of them together. Why should we add both of them together, sir? Because this side maybe you got a combination, this side maybe you got a combination. So how many ever combinations you got, you must add them together. You must add them together. Here also no combination. Here also no combination. 0 plus 0 is 0. Return that. See, I am returning 0, which means no combination. Now let us come this side where I am not picking 5. If I don't pick 5, sum remains 15 only. Now, okay, sum is not negative, sum is not 0. Again, recursively I will call, but I value will go outside the boundary. It will become equal to the length, which means base condition means 0. Not possible, 0. Add both of them together. No combination. Return 0. So see, this side also 0, this side also 0. Add them together. Return. What will you return? 0. This side returned 1. This side returned 0. Add them together. What will you get? 0 plus 1 is 1. So 1 combination, correct. How many combinations you found? 1 combination. Add them together and that is what you have to return. This side you got 0. This side you got 1. Add them together. How many combinations? 1 combination. Return that. And now, my dear friends, what you must understand is this side is over. In this entire side where you picked 10, along with 10, there was only one other number in the entire array which when added together gave you 25. That is why you got 1 here. Working perfectly. This entire side is over. Now this was for pick 10. What if you don't pick 10? If you don't pick 10, sum remains 25 only. 10 is over. Next element 20. So again 2 options. Pick 20, don't pick 20. And that is what I am also just showing you. Pick 20, don't pick 20. Coming to pick 20. I value is 1 because we are talking about the second element. There also I value is 1. Now sum, whenever you pick, subtract it. If I subtract it, 25 minus 20 is 5. It is not 0, it is not negative. So again you should proceed. What is the next element? 15. Pick, don't pick. Now let's come to pick. I value becomes 2 here. I hope you are able to think. Here what happens is if I pick 15, subtract it from the sum. 5 minus 15 is minus 10. Now negative means base condition. Valid base condition or invalid base condition? Invalid. Invalid means what should you do? Return 0. I have returned 0. I will come this side where I am not picking 15. If I don't pick 15, same value of sum only. It will be as it is. And then now the next element 5, because this sum is not negative, it's not 0. You not hit any base, right? So again you have to continue. So next element is 5. So you have 2 options. Pick 5, don't pick 5. Now let us come to picking first. If I pick 5, subtract it from the sum. 5 minus 5 is 0. New sum is 0. And say I is 3 because it is the last element. Any confusion? The moment sum becomes 0, valid. Valid means what should you return? 1. I hope you are able to think. This side is over. Come here. Don't pick 5. Don't pick 5 means don't subtract. You are not picking. So it is as it is. It is not 0, it is not negative. So what should you do? Again recursively call. If I recursively call, I was already at the last element. I from 3 is going to become 4. I has become equal to the length, which means you have gone outside the boundary of the array, which is also a base condition and an invalid base condition. I hope all of you are able to understand. Invalid means what should you return? 0. What should you return? 0. 0 plus 0, return 0. Here already 1 is there. 0 plus 1, 1, return 1. Here 0 was there. 0 plus 1, return 1. I hope you understood till here. Now if you understood till here, same way you can trace this side also. If you trace this side, you will notice that 100% ultimately you will not find even one combination. So this side is going to return 0. So 1 plus 0 is nothing but 1. This side returned 1, this call returned 1. 1 plus 1 is nothing but 2, and 2 is your final output. Hope you're able to think. So ultimately what am I doing, guys? Recursively I am calling in such a way that initially I is going to be 0. Then I will make 2 calls. In the first call, what I am going to do is I will pick the ith element. So I will pick the ith element and subtract its value from sum. That is my first call. Then I will not pick the ith element, so I will not subtract it from sum as it is I will pass. Now you are able to think. Whatever these 2 calls give me, I will add it together and return. Ultimately that is what I am doing. But most importantly, when it comes to base conditions, I am just showing base conditions, 3 base conditions. First one is, let us talk about valid. Valid means what? Sum becomes 0, correct? Like this, sum becomes 0, valid base condition. So that is if in case sum is equal to 0, return 1. 1 means valid. Now, again the next base condition. The next base condition is if in case some value becomes negative. So if in case sum is less than 0 means negative. It's invalid. Invalid means return 0. 2 base conditions done. There is one more invalid base condition, which is if in case I value goes outside the boundary of the array, or in other words, all the elements are over. So how will you do that? Simple. If in case I is equal to length of AR, I will tell. If it is equal to the length of AR, then it means that you have gone outside the boundary, which means return 0. 0 means invalid. These are the 3 base conditions. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now I am sure we have been solving many recursion based questions, and now you are confident to write the code. So let's just quickly go and write some code. Let's write some code. I have created a static function which returns an integer called as count subsets. Why an integer? Because ultimately you are returning integers, isn't it? Now my dear friends, inside this, what I am now going to do is very simple. I'll take the data or the inputs. First input is the array of non-negative integers. So int AR I will call, integer array AR. Next is the sum, right? So integer sum. Now these 2 things will be given to you by the program. But now you need a variable I to keep track of which element you are working on. So I will take that also as input, int I. Next I will come inside this and I will write my 3 base conditions. Let's start with the valid one. If in case sum is equal to 0, that is my valid one, where I will return 1 to show that it is valid. I will copy that, paste it 2 more times. Next one is if sum is negative, then I know it is invalid, in which case I will return 0. Next one is if the I value goes outside the boundary of the array. So I will tell I is equal to AR.length. Then I will return 0. I hope it is clear. Then all you have to do is make 2 calls where you are either picking the ith element, not picking the ith element. See, very simple. Count subsets. And then inside that, what I am going to do is, I will pass the same array same only, so AR, comma, if I am picking, then the ith element in the array must be subtracted from sum. That is was our logic. So I will tell sum minus, I will now tell AR of I. This is how you update the value, comma. I will now I value initially will be 0. Next time when you are recursively calling, first element you picked or you don't pick, that's fine. Next time I should increment, so I plus 1. This is for picking. Now I leave some spaces. Now for not picking. So see, I will just copy the same thing, paste it again. And there, only difference is everything is same. But because I didn't pick the ith element, I will not subtract it from sum. So same value of sum only. This will return, this will return. Add them. And this is what you should return. I hope you are able to think. Now here that subsets, yes, should be, yeah, that's fine, yeah. Any confusion till here? So this is your recursive function. Will this work? Let's go check it out. If I scroll down and I come here, there I am just going to now first create an array. So I'll just tell int ar, integer array, is equal to, and then there within brackets, within flower braces, I will just directly tell the values. So 20, 15, 10 and 5. Yeah, good. Next I'll just sys out. I'll call count subsets, and initially I will pass AR, some value I will pass it as 25, let us assume, and I value I will initially it has to be 0 because we are working on the 0th element first. Any confusion till here? Beautiful. Now according to our expectation, this should give us 2 because there are 2 subsets. Let's execute. If I execute it, clearly one can notice you have got 2. So it works. It works for every input. You can check it out. So I hope this program was interesting. You learned something new, and I hope your hold over recursion is becoming stronger and stronger. But make sure you guys are practicing. That is the most important thing. Anyways, I will catch you in the next class. Take care. Bye-bye.